Just who or what is Panos talking to, and what exactly does the S.A.M AI want? That is what I want to explore in today's video.
One day in the dark ether and I feel like I'm losing my mind. Am I going to end up like you? Hold it together just a little longer. If this works, I will keep my promise to you.
Throughout the story of Liberty Falls and Black Ops 6 Zombies, the rapid response team from Project Janus interacts with Dr. Pericles Panos, a Project Janus scientist trapped inside the dark ether. He has taken shelter in the church at Liberty Falls, and through the help of an unknown ally, constructs a machine capable of facilitating his escape. This ally has been the subject of debate since the launch of the game and completing the Liberty Falls main quest, and in this video we are going to break down the potential identities of this person, the most likely answer from that lineup, and what this means for the future of the Black Ops 6 Zombies story and beyond. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's pull back and get a good grasp on what we know about this person's identity, and use those clues to start figuring out who exactly they may be. Panos has various lines within the course of the main quest that continue to suggest that he can see or hear a third party in the dark ether that we, the player, cannot, who has been guiding him for some time. The biggest clue to this, however, are random ambient lines. These lines play at random intervals during normal gameplay and are meant to represent Panos and this person communicating when they think we cannot hear. I've managed to cut all of the Panos dialogue that references this person, speaks to them, or implies their existence in some way. And so to get the most thorough understanding we can, let's listen to all of them and break them down as we go.
I saw him when this started, then his comms went dark.
Well, if I'm learning anything, it's that just because you're missing doesn't mean you're dead. Isn't that so?
Who are you talking to?
It's just a rhetorical question, that's all.
One of the first pieces of dialogue we are forced to get about this character is this one. Panos, here, outright directly speaks to them before Blanchard says, "Who are you talking to?" And he has to play it off that this is nothing and he's rambling to himself or something. This one does not reveal a ton of information outside the existence of the character themselves. However, I believe it exists simply to do just that. This quote exists so as many people as possible lock on to the idea of the invisible extra character that only he can see/communicate with.
No offense, Panos, but if one of you lab goats was gonna survive, my money would have been on Pelletier.
Yes, he was formidable. But sometimes survival is about the friends you make. What was that? Oh, okay, fine, I'll shut up.
These lines indicate something interesting that I hadn't thought of prior to making this video. Panos, when talking about the dead scientist, Annette Pelletier, says she was formidable. The ellipses and pause in his speech indicate Treyarch wanted to leave some emphasis here, and whilst transcribing these subtitles, I have really had time to think about it and came to the conclusion that this line is there to suggest to us that Panos and his unknown friend may have killed the other Janus scientist trapped in the dark ether with him. This seems to match up with what we see around the map too. The odd use of the word formidable rather than brave, strong or tough seems to imply that she was perhaps a foe to Panos and not an ally, at least in his head. And upon considering this, while putting together footage for this video, I noticed that most of the blood writings in this map seem to be near the dead bodies of Janus scientists in the map. Perhaps these messages were written by these scientists or Panos during his attacks on them, or perhaps they are also there to warn of his mysterious ally, as by Etherella, it is written, "She did this," which has to be important.
Panos, when this is over, we'll need you to come in for debrief. That's an order, copy?
Well, Blanchard, you have your orders, and I have mine. Finally, I'm free! It worked! Just like you said it would! Of course they know how to keep it in that field. Have some faith! See? I told you they could get the job done!
The bloodier the better.
I understand how the SPG works and built the damn thing.
You lost your head a long time ago. I just made it official.
Oh, it's just as you promised. The energy orb is growing. Keep feeding the SPG. Make that sphere even bigger.
These are the last quest quotes from Panos that mentions his friend. Here, they show us that his new ally helped him design and build the SDG, Generator Device, of which pushes the envelope of transdimensional gateway physics. And considering he says, it's just as you promised, this seems to imply that his friend came up with the design and its function, or at least concepted it, and promised him that it would work if he built it for them, similar to Zikov with Peck and the Casimir grenades in Black Ops Cold War. The following lines are all of the ambient lines between Panos and his friend put into order, where we hear one side of a conversation between them.
One day in the dark ether and I feel like I'm losing my mind. Am I going to end up like you? Hold it together just a little longer. If this works, I will keep my promise to you. No, don't hate him. I don't think you do either. But if everything you told me is true, never should miss his job. Fine, I won't tell them. But a deal is a deal. I'll find your friends. If I ever get out of here. You know, part of me wants to stay. Quite trippy here. Okay.
Killing shouldn't be this easy.
Very
Not that I'm complaining.
different experiences at university.
So, ultimately, after all of this, what have we learned? Panos' contact must have gone to university, been in the Dark Ether for some time, know about Richtofen but doesn't hate him necessarily, have friends outside of the Dark Ether, intelligent enough to assist in building the SDG, powerful enough to assist Panos in killing the other Janus scientists. But what does this mean? The obvious and most front-facing answer is exactly who we are all expecting. None other than Samantha Maxis herself. She, without a doubt, fulfills every one of these requirements. She has history and memories with Richtofen, the friends could be Weaver and the Terminus crew.
Fine, I won't tell them. But a deal is a deal. I'll find your friends. If I ever get out of here.
She has been in the Dark Ether since, of course, the ending of Cold War, trapping the Forsaken, and we know from her character biography that she went to Heidelberg University. And while I do think it is very likely this could be Samantha, there are other candidates which I believe are worthy of discussion too, and perhaps one competing idea which I like more, whilst it may not necessarily be the one Trek have gone with. Assuming it isn't Samantha, since we know from Modern Warfare Zombies that whatever happens she does not escape, who else could it be? There is one candidate whom I highly doubt is the answer, but does fulfill all of the requirements and bears mentioning. None other than Ultimis Richtofen himself. While it is very unlikely to be him, since all of Primis and Ultimis died and were cleansed from existence with the collapse of the Aetherverse, we have heard rumours and leaks of the original characters returning with COD 2025 Zombies. And Ultimis Richtofen did also go to university and would not exactly hate the young Eddie Richtofen. He also would have knowledge of the SDG, as it is theorized he worked with the Shadow Man to create the Dark Mechanism in Blood of the Dead, which was of course then used to harness his Primis self's blood to harness his ethereal energy to allow the characters to escape via portals on the map. This machine essentially did the same thing as the SDG, and it is scarily and eerily similar how much the devices resemble each other, and they seemingly both allow someone to escape the Dark Ether by using someone else's life essence. Primis Richtofen gained ethereal energy through his many teleportations through time. Now, the Janus Strike team that we play as on the map shouldn't really have as much ethereal energy, but he harvests the essence from all of them, so it could be combined to their exposure to the Dark Ether that has enhanced their essence and their souls in a way that collectively it's enough to allow Panos to steal their essence, restoring his life force and then allowing him to escape from the Dark Ether. And it could be that Panos maybe died and that's how he ended ended up trapped in the dark ether. Potentially he killed the scientist and then was either killed in the process by one of them or someone else, or maybe he even then killed himself, maybe even under instructions of this voice to go into the dark ether that they may have needed him for, which could be this one. But that's just one idea. And what's more is that the orbs above both machines look incredibly similar. However, it could also be someone pretending to be Samantha Maxis to fool Panos. But who would do that? Zikov is a potential answer. He has the powers to shift his appearance and voice. We know that from Cold War Zombies. For example, he could be communicating with Panos and pretending to be someone so that he can escape the dark ether. However, the issue in this lies in the fact that Zikov would use the dead loved ones of others to help lure them to let them out, like he did with Valentina pretending to be her father, or like he did to Eric Jaworski pretending to be his wife. But here, Panos says this friend is new to him since he's been in the dark ether. Why would Zikov disguise himself as Samantha, someone Pericles Panos has never met? And Zikov was supposedly contained in the containment chamber. Aside from the line mentioning an angry Russian in the generator in Terminus, that's the only inkling we have as to his whereabouts now. It's a bit unclear where exactly Zikov is right now, as we know the containment chamber that we see in the Liberty Falls intro is for the S.A.M AI, and not the same one that Zikov was contained in, despite them looking similar. The other option, and the one that I currently feel most aligned with, is that this may actually be the Samantha Maxis AI in disguise, the Synaptic Algorithm Module, S.A.M. If Sam is pretending to be the real Samantha Maxis and using Dr. Panos for something, perhaps the S.A.M AI is pretending to be the real Samantha Maxis and using Dr. Panos for something. But the question is, what? Could this perhaps be aligned with her goals of finding the Sentinel artifact? I've seen much discussion, especially on Twitter recently, that people seem to not know why Sam would want the Sentinel artifact at all. Of course, she tells the Terminus crew that Richtofen's en route to Avalon to try and collect the Sentinel artifact and get the knowledge of it from Gabriel Kraft, who's being interrogated by the French syndicate. But she is lying to them as she is the reason the outbreaks began in the first place and teleported Richtofen away, so she wants it for her own reason. I have a theory, and I've mentioned this in many videos, and it lines up very well with the Liberty Falls mystery character also potentially being her. My theory is this: the S.A.M AI intends to get the Sentinel artifact in order to use its prima materia manipulation powers and do exactly the same thing Richtofen intends to do: create a body. As I believe Richtofen wants to use the Sentinel artifact in a way to somehow restore his wife and son. We know that prima materia is basically the fabric and the building blocks to allow life itself to prosper.
There are always two, mind and the body, each made for the other, lock and key. Without the mind, the body is but an artifact, a relic from an ancient civilization. Beautiful and priceless though it may be, it is utterly useless. Not unlike Pandora's box, the artifact cannot be opened without the proper key. Brute force accomplishes nothing. A hammer won't even leave a dent. It is completely impenetrable. But that is for protection, for he is sent on a journey, one that cannot be stopped once started. That is why they must have the key. They must open it by their own volition. They must wish to inflict peril upon themselves. After all, the artifact does not wish to be opened. It is protecting it. It is a guard, a sentinel.
So S.A.M, I believe, was created by Richtofen to be an AI created to control the Dark Ether by Richtofen using the same or similar technology as the Cerberus Wonder Weapon and Klaus, which mimics the AI of the Requiem leads, and Klaus could potentially mimic the AI of Director Richtofen. However, he used the captured Forsaken's energy to power this AI, thus allowing it to actually mimic Samantha Maxis in the same way Zikov did. And maybe even when Samantha Maxis trapped herself in the Dark Ether, that is the point at which some part of her was allowed to remain, or be cloned. It also explains how the AI is able to control the forces of the Dark Ether. Zikov was in control, when he was captured of course, and could even explain why Zikov is still the announcer voice in Black Ops 6 and Modern Warfare Zombies.
Tear them to pieces. Max ammo.
This may not necessarily mean Zikov is still in control in some way, but maybe his voice has just been cloned, or maybe the S.A.M AI is using his voice if there's some sort of merger of these spirits or the replication of the two. But why does this matter? This means that Samantha cannot ever escape that orb, which is why Eddie tells her you will never be free in the Liberty Falls intro cutscene.
You'll never be free!
There is nothing in there to escape. She is quite literally energy being controlled and manipulated by the AI. This would be an interesting plot twist and could mean that maybe Samantha Maxis is not necessarily straight up just trapped in the dark ether like we once thought, but instead, Richtofen may have trapped her in a similar way to he did with the Forsaken, or merged the two, or used them to actually build the AI of Samantha, but for the sole purpose of trying to contain these dimensional breaches, because I assume he's been sending soldiers in and out of the dark ether and scientists to collect data for him so he can further research in trying to figure out a way to bring his family back. He needed a stable gateway in order to do this, and what better way than a replica of Samantha Maxis herself? This would be a big plot twist because we're all expecting the real S.A.M to be implicated in some way. Maybe this could be it. However, if the S.A.M AI has gotten the Sentinel artifact, found someone else to take Richtofen's place in the real world, running all of Janus' machinery, and used it to create an empty body that she could inhibit, or perhaps even change something we've already seen into a habitable body, such as, for example, maybe she wants to use Etherella as a physical body in the future. They are strikingly similar. The S.A.M AI could then find a way to enter the real world physically while still having control over her interdimensional powers, which may sound like someone you know.
Prepare to tremble before me, you hapless fools. I will drown this place in chaos. I can't overdo it. I have other dimensions to terrorize. This dreary little dimension deserves no mercy from me. Which interdimensional monster should I summon first? You wouldn't last a day in my dimension.
This, if true, turns Black Ops 6 Zombies' storyline into a dark inverse of the Black Ops 2 Zombies saga. In Black Ops 2, Richtofen, while in control of the ether, can no longer physically enter the world in a body, and tries to take control of the 3 towers on Transit, Die Rise, and Buried to allow him to get ultimate control. This is strikingly similar to the Janus towers that we see in the distance of Liberty Falls, and is probably an upcoming Black Ops 6 Zombies map. Wouldn't this be the insane endgame of this, that these towers could actually be used, or maybe even fought for control between Richtofen and the S.A.M AI? Maybe both need to use these towers to gain full power, in the repetition of Ludwig Maxis and Richtofen fighting for control in Black Ops 2, in order to manipulate the dark ether and re-enter the physical world. Dr. Maxis, however, wished to save his lost child, Samantha. He was willing to lie, manipulate, cheat, and even destroy the Earth in the process, if it meant reuniting with his little lost girl. In Black Ops 6, we see the roles reversed. Samantha Maxis, albeit an AI copy of her, is in control of the dark ether, but cannot physically enter the world, and tries to take control in order to manipulate the dark ether to enter the physical world. Richtofen, however, wishes to save his lost child, Samuel, and/or his wife. He is willing to lie, manipulate, cheat, and perhaps even destroy the Earth if it means reuniting with his little lost boy. This interesting dynamic swap mirrors how we continuously saw the characters' roles be reversed to interesting effects in Cold War Zombies' storyline throughout the DLC season. There were multiple times we heard Samantha say lines that originally were Richtofen lines in the Ether story, in Cold War's cutscenes and intel, and we've time and time again seen emphasis that many themes and elements from their stories are being swapped onto another. Could all of this swapping of Richtofen and Maxis' themes have led to this, a new inverse on the themes and story of Black Ops 2, and could this potentially mean we are looking at a game that could have 2 different endings, only one of which is canon? We will have to see. With the potential of maybe a super Easter egg this game, it would be interesting to see some sort of alternate version play out, although I really doubt this is going to happen, but we will see. But Black Ops 2 had alternate endings, of course, but only one of which was continued into the future. One thing is interesting to note. Like I said earlier, we have heard leaks that we will see the return of the original characters in Zombies, and whilst I mentioned about how this voice could be Ultimis Richtofen, maybe they aren't. Maybe they could in fact be this other version of Richtofen, because apparently they're going to be older versions of the characters that we haven't seen before. They're not Ultimis or Primus necessarily, they're new versions of the characters, older than Primus, but I think younger than Ultimis from what it seems, but maybe they could still share a lot of the memories of their counterparts. And if this game really is a new Black Ops 2, as the campaign's apparently a sequel to it, being set in 2035, that could make sense, as after the end of the Victor's Crew story in Black Ops 2, 2, we got Origins, which marked a return of the original characters after a long absence. However, they were a new and different version than the crew we were used to, so this could literally be flipping that story on its head, this time with the S.A.M AI against Richtofen, and leading to the original crew returning in a different way at the end. Now, if the S.A.M AI is successful in getting a body herself, whether it be Etherella, or in some other fashion, maybe she even rebirths a cloned body of the real Samantha Maxis and goes inside it, or maybe even puts her own life force inside the real body of Samantha Maxis if she manages to locate her and swap souls with her, then this would be an interesting dynamic. And of course, in the Modern Warfare Zombies ending, Ava Jansen gets taken by an arm into the mirror, this arm of which seems to be resembling Samantha Maxis' purple jumper, and Ava even says she thinks it's Samantha Maxis, her real biological mother, despite Grey being her surrogate mother. I wonder if this is the real Samantha Maxis or a clone of her in some way. I wonder if it could even be the S.A.M AI in the future if she is successful in cloning some sort of body for her. That would be a big plot twist, because many people are speculating this could be Samantha Maxis, but imagine the twist that it's actually the AI all along, and we are still left to wonder what's happening to the real Samantha Maxis down the line. But let me know what you think about this. Is the real Samantha Maxis talking to Panos, or is it the S.A.M AI? And what about the S.A.M AI's plans with the Sentinel artifact? Do you agree with me, or have something else in mind that she may want? Really, this is the only thing I can think of. It would make sense for an AI that is just a mind without a physical body to want a physical body, and it perfectly aligns with the powers of the Sentinel artifact as well, and what Richtofen similarly wants to do with it, and they can mirror each other's channels in different ways, and agendas and goals. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, and let's start a discussion. Citadel Day More's right around the corner. I wonder how much more we learn about the S.A.M AI as well as Panos. I assume we won't hear much about Panos because that story will continue to unfold in Liberty Falls, and we'll go back to Liberty Falls with the Mansion and Janus Towers maps in the future. I assume we're going to see Panos probably in the future though, maybe even as a boss fight on the Janus Towers map or Mansion. I'm thinking the Janus Towers map since he's apparently heading there, but I'll talk more about that in the future. I don't think we're going to hear much about him on the next map since we're so far away, but we're obviously going to hear a lot about the S.A.M AI because she's the one who sent us to Avalon on Citadel Day More. We're gonna at some point figure out she's lying to us. I think we're gonna fail to get the Sentinel artifact though on this map, and then we'll have to go to the dig site map similarly close by in Avalon as the next DLC before heading back to Liberty Falls. Maybe once we get the artifact, or we learn Sam's lying, or she sends us back there. At some point we're gonna realize Richtofen is taken away into the dark ether though. But without further ado, that's everything I wanted to talk about today. Much more storyline videos obviously coming up very shortly with the release of Citadel Day More. There's gonna be so many juicy things to keep up with, and I'm pumping these videos out as quickly as I can. There's really so much to discuss, too many theories to discuss that it's almost impossible for me to cover them all. But without further ado, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already for latest and great Call of Duty news information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.